Let's go. So, friends, today we have the 30th of November, 2013 year. I am Vadim Zaporozhtsov. Mikhail Kolesnikov and I are conducting a seminar on the Vishuddha Chakra. All information is on the website of Open Yoga, less than Earl greater than. This is the second part. Unfortunately, the first part was not recorded on audio, but only here. They threw it off. Here's the recorder. Wonderful, super. Super. All right. So, we are going further now. The topic is interesting, the topic is important. Astral travel in mind control. The whole set, you know. It's serious. Let's start with a question. Part-time students, do you have any questions? There is such a question. Yes. Alessia Minitskaya. Yeah. Fears, smoking, self-doubt can interfere with the development of our chakra. Jokes. Fears, smoking, self-doubt. Yes, friends, all of these. Look, let's take it in order. Let's start with smoking. What is smoking? As Leo Tolstoy said, the American Indians, in revenge for the fact that the whites taught them to drink, taught the whites to smoke. And it is not yet clear what is more harmful. It's not clear. Indeed, smoking involves some such factors that are known from Yoga Pranama, and they really give such an effect. Well, how can I tell you, calming. What is done beautifully in Pranayama Yoga is done here, to put it mildly, dirty. So therefore, if you haven't smoked, and don't start, don't try. If you already smoke, try to get rid of it, but not in 3 days. Do you understand? That's the most important thing, so that there is no companionship. This is a different conversation. So it's clear that I don't know, in some conditions, let's say during the war, when you got bombed there. You go out, your arms and legs are shaking. There would be at least some, antidepressant, right? There was also a Makarojka. But you're not at war now, are you? Not in the war. Bombs don't fall. No. Not yet, right? Here. Now the fears are the same situation. What was the third one there? Self-doubt. Well, self-doubt is the same fears, only a side view. Here. All this blocks your idea of yourself, and really interferes with the study of the subtle structures of your body. Any more questions? Thank you very much. Have you asked another question about what it means to master the chakra? Yeah. Yes, well, we'll touch on that now. Do you have any questions in the audience? Is nothing clear? Very good. Me too. There isn't? Again, you can still go from the other side on this issue. It turns out that fear is where we got it from. We have him on Muladhara, in fact. I am not sure of myself. She seems to work more with Manipura, when there is no such charisma, and so on, personality. It turns out that we, as it were, lower this energy down when we are afraid, and are not on the top. And it turns out that we involuntarily concentrate on the lower chakra, and not on tails. So we stop holding the lower chakras in our power, right? And we go down. Yes, I am absolutely correct. And the reverse situation. It means that mantra yoga, the repetition of well-known mantras, leads to the fact that it is easier for you to overcome fear and self-doubt easier. I had such a case, in fact, very revealing, as I can tell you. One Yevgenia Mizai. So, I just started studying mantras, and studied the mantra, and I didn't know anything else before that. It was back in those glorious 90s, when it was clear where the bandits ended, the militia begins, where the militia ends. The bandits begin. In the glorious years, I hope they are gone forever. My joy. Here. And so they began to press her. You know, it's like this. Don't believe, don't be afraid, don't ask. Here. Well, you know, the psychological impact. The scariest thing. They're starting to process you, right. cause fear and self-doubt. So, what did you do? She is there and somewhere and some there. Well, I won't tell you these details. Yes, she began to recite a mantra. She went into meditation with a mantra. They spent 3 hours there, thinking. Well, now it means that the client will mature. This is a common situation, right? And she spent these 3 hours in mantra yoga, and then they come. What? What is she to them? It's okay. That was the end of it. You understand, right? Because Opa? No, the client is not ready. Do you understand? And time is running out. That's why, if there is an opportunity at any moments to practice in practice related to the Vishuddha chakra, then they help a lot. Very. Then we go along with this. Please introduce yourself. Yuri, Vega Group, International Open University. The speech is measured by 4 quarters. They are known by the Brahmins, who are wise. 3 secretly folded quarters, they do not let the entrance. In the 4th quarter of the speech, people speak. That is, look, there is also such a very interesting bookmark here with working with vibrations. That sound vibrations are like, well, our usual words, 1/4 of what is laid inside there. And only the wise know from mantra yoga all the deeper possibilities that are enclosed, so it's in working with all this. So, that's wonderful. Any more questions? There are no questions. Mikhail, please continue. Yes. Oh, very well. Then it means, well, we will go through, actually, according to our text, the Nirpana chakra, we have such a yantra. Here. Well, that is so that we get attached to something, and so that it's easier for our mind to concentrate on it. Here is such an image. Me. Actually, that's what. Point it at the camera, please, so that it can be seen. It can be seen. Not. Apparently, because on the side. Yes. Here I will read it again, just so that you will look at it and understand what is drawn there. In the throat, there is a lotus called Vishuddha, pure, smoky purple in color. All the letters shine on the 16 petals of crimson color, clearly visible to the one whose mind is enlightened. At the base of this lotus is a circular area of ether, similar to a crescent full moon. For a circle and a month, it turns out like this at the bottom, see? On a snow-white elephant. But here, of course, it's not snow-white, it's gray, then white. Well, let's assume that's snow-white. Yes, the bija of the barn is sitting here, and his robe is white. 2 of his hands hold a noose and a goad, while the other 2 hold a gesture of blessing and averting fear. And this complements its charm. He always has a snow-white deity on his lap, a 3-eyed 5-face. Here, actually, you see, this is Shiva God on the right. Here is such a blue color, and he has 5 heads. She has a 3rd eye on each head. I'm also going to tell you what it's all about. For what? Why? With 10 beautiful hands. But here, of course, 4 of them are represented. That's not the point. Dressed in tiger skin. You see, too. But he's not dressed, he's sitting on a tiger skin. Gone right. Try opening board 24. Well, 23 to be exact. Oh, 23. His body is joined standing, which is born of the Parvati mountains, and he is known by the name of Sada Shiva. This box is Sada Shiva, actually. Always beneficent. Step Tishikeen is represented here on the left, also with 5 heads. A goddess on a lotus, she sits shining in this lotus, purer than the ocean of nectar. Her robes are yellow, and in her 4 lotus-like hands, she carries a bow, a goad, a noose and an arrow. At the base of this lotus is the entire area of the moon with the unblemished sign of the hare. Here is the gateway of the path to great liberation for one who desires to attain bliss, yoga, and whose senses are purified and controlled. A Sada who has attained the fullness of knowledge of the Atman through the constant concentration of his consciousness on this lotus, becomes great, holy, eloquent, wise, enjoying the inviolable peace of consciousness. He observes the past, the present and the future, becomes the benefactor of everything, free from ailments and suffering, long-lived, and like Hamsa, destroyers of endless dangers. Yugen, whose mind is firmly fixed on this lotus, whose breath is controlled by Kumhaka, has the power to pass through the three worlds. They are Brahma, not Brahma, Vishnu, neither Hari, Hera, Shiva, nor Suri, nor Ganapati are capable of contradicting him. All this, of course, Vadim, it's all for everyone. And how would it be if we show a simple Hindu who bathes in all these signs, who sees elephants around him, who sees there all the time? Someone knows only Shiva, who these goddesses are. Everything is clear to them, in principle, right? They were simply told, here is Shiva, and the image of Shiva already appears in his head. And he says there are 5 heads, and this is a head, and everyone has a different name. They are called the following. Now I'll tell you 2. The first, the second, the third, Sada Shiva, the 4th Rudra, and the 5th Ishana. Here. And everything is clear to the Hindu, it's clear. It is desirable for us, of course, to give all this explanation. Who is Hara? Akora? The 5 heads actually represent our 5 principles of creation, our material world, of which we are composed. And, accordingly, this first chapter is the principle of the earth. The second chapter is the principle of water. The third head is the principle of fire. The 4th chapter is the principle of air. And the 5th is the principle of Akasha, and either space. Here is the first head, this is just the chorus. And the Hara are, as it were, incarnations of Shiva, which are usually found on such. They usually have extreme practices, tantric extreme practices. They sit on all kinds of corpses, and usually they live in places of cremation and burning of people. What is all this being done for? Yes, everything, of course, is not just like that. It's not just that they love it all there, but in order to develop with themselves, with their fears, to develop with your experiences, yes, and so that they stop clinging to this world. That is, when they watch the corpses of people being burned day after day, they understand how universal it is and how everything is, well, here. How temporary all this is. And it's not worth doing it, as it were, to concentrate on it. And accordingly, a person who has reached such a state, yes, that is, space, which is what we are talking about now, he, as it were, ceases to concentrate on the lower centers. Here. Okay, let's go. The second head is also round and round. Here, it represents God, it is called Ishana. This is the principle of water. The next one is Mahadeva. It's like the central one and it's square. And they explain. And why is it square? Because she means on. The central head. No, stop. The central head is oval. The square one will be the last one. It embodies the principle of air, that is, such dynamics. The air itself is dynamic, that is, the very principle of movement and space. It is the air that is responsible for this. And this oval, it embodies exactly the dynamics. The next head, it will be triangular, embodies, of course, fire. This transformation from one state to another. Yes, the direction of our energy and so on, the dynamics are the same again. And the last one is a square one, which represents the earth or such, you know how to say, a stable figure. Here. Why does the square represent the earth? Because it is a stable figure, which again extends in 4 directions, as we are used to, yes, to rely on something. And having 4 sides, that is, north, south, west, east, it embodies exactly the principle of the earth. Here, what are they? What's he holding? But in this case, the Shat chakra is not runi. It was described that he held a goad and a noose, right? For what? These are the 2 tools that the goad and the noose are the 2 tools that drive the elephant. The goad is designed to drive the elephant, but the loop holds it. Elephant, here is our comrade below. I'm going to touch it right away. An elephant, that is, an animal, in every chakra like this, in every yantra like this. He personifies exactly our original desires. That is, as if a person who is on this chakra, yes, but not yet engaged in yoga, not engaged in his transformation, yes. Spiritual growth here. He has his own qualities, this man, and somehow behaves. His man who is on this Vishuddha chakli, roughly speaking, he looks like an elephant. What do you mean like an elephant? Yes, it's hard for us to imagine that. And here it means exactly that this is a wise animal. This is an animal that is the oldest, which of the mammals that lives with us on? Well, it is believed among the Hindus that the most ancient one lives on our planet. Here. And it knows, well, it's kind of wise. It knows everything that you can eat, that you can't eat, yes. It is kind at the same time. It seems to be healthy, yes, it's like that, but she never offends if it doesn't hurt in any way, and, well, there's no inflammation going on, or don't start offending him. Again, yes, it seems to be so healthy, but at the same time, it is herbivorous, yes. It doesn't even offend other animals. Here. And here is such a person, yes, and it is considered a symbol of wisdom, knowledge. And even earlier, it was the elephant who chose the king. That is, if the king dies, and he did not have any heir suddenly, a Raja in India. Then the Raja's elephant could approach any of the people, just point at him with his trunk, and this person became a Raja. This was a strange ceremony of pluses, but that's what it means. And when we begin to engage in this magical transformation of ourselves, we become like these gods. Namely, here is one aspect I told Shiva, right? One of the aspects, and the second, well, as if we have, roughly speaking, a divine consciousness, yes, roughly speaking, and a divine mind. That is, or are we beginning to possess attributes, roughly speaking, divine, that is, more developed, yes. That is, what they would be original, how we can develop them. So, and accordingly, well, it's clear accordingly, right? Then what was the goad for, what was the loop for? It is in order to ride this elephant. To ride this elephant of wisdom, this elephant of such untouchability, yes. This elephant who is above all these animals, by the way, animals, yes, who? That's why we have Shiva sitting on a tiger. The tiger personifies this aggression, this throwing of the mind, and here is a man who has already taken over this. He sits on this tiger skin, and he begins to meditate on it. Here. The following, well, firm the attributes of our, yes, for example, Shiva, he has a trident. What does his trident represent? It's not just like that either. He personifies our 3, well, first of all, body groups. Yes, this is causal, this is our subtle body, that is, thoughts, some experiences, and our physical body. In other words, a person who already finds Chakli on Mashutka begins to meditate, begins to learn it, as it were, to reveal it in himself. He begins to become the owner of his bodies, begins to be unaffected. Also personify the 3 gunas, that is, the Sattva guna, the Raja gunas, the Tamas gunas. What is tamas? It's such inertia, it's such stupidity of our mind, it's such stupidity, yes. Joy is such speed, yes, and our desire to act, the desire to somehow manifest. And sattva is the same state of activity, but at the same time of balance. When a person has such, a state of clarity happens, it's like, oh, I get it. Clearly. This is the state, in fact, of sattva. A person who is like the sages are considered, they are in this state all the time. We have a second. Hooray! Yes, and it's great for us. And the sages combine the fact that they are in a state of garden all the time. But a person meditating on this chakra, yes, he even becomes above this guna,